Oh my goodness, finally, Season 5 of My Hero Academia has delivered. Episode 19 of Season 5 was spectacular. If you remember with the previous episode, episode 18, I said that this was the best episode of the season, but now episode 19 has not only taken that spot, but has also become one of the best episodes of My Hero Academia to date, at least as far as I'm concerned. This episode was everything. I mean, this was a perfect adaptation. I mean, talk about goosebumps all throughout. I was just feeling this episode. I was in my feels, and it was a really good one. And truly, you can tell that the production of the movie was done at this point, as the animators were not playing any games. That locker room scene where we get to see Uraraka's new costume, which is great by the way, it is an amazing upgrade there, where the little All Might charm that Deku had given her was exposed, it fell out. Oh my goodness, the way that she swiveled around to recover that was really well done. I mean, the weight to these scenes in general, it is just an improved version of the manga source material for sure. And in situations like these that in theory, I can understand why someone would want to be an anime only as opposed to a manga reader or both. If anime across the board was delivering like this, I would have no objection whatsoever. But this is at the tail end of the season, and so as much as I may appreciate this, it does not take away from the situation that we were made to sit through for so long, but still, it is damn good. Now, something I will say is that for me, the anime is more or less a refresher. There are many bits of information that I will certainly retain in regards to plot points and anything of a certain gravity, anything that is especially important, but when it comes to like little jokes or little nuances, I may not recall them all too much, but that All Might scene where he is just spinning cotton candy, that was definitely a Japanese joke right there, and so it's sort of like explaining a English pun to a non-native speaker. And so at that, I am very curious how the dub is going to handle this. How they're going to manage to make this make sense. Are they just going to, say screw it and just say, hey, I'm here with cotton candy or what? I don't know. But getting into the meat and potatoes of this episode, Eraserhead and Present Mic, oh my goodness, the delivery, the emotion, the visuals, everything was just on point and perfect. I could not ask for anything more. The car ride there was just so tense, and you could tell Eraserhead is just not patient. Usually he'd be a bit more patient and reserved and contained, but you could tell that he is struggling here. Meanwhile, Present Mic, who is just boisterous and is always so loud, is here telling him to calm down and keep it quiet, where he himself is just, having a very hard time containing himself, which makes it one of those situations where you're trying to be the strong friend, but you yourself are breaking at the hinges. It is just way too good. Now this happens again once they are actually in Tartarus, and the whole situation of Nomu's once being alive is brought up to them. I mean, you have Eraserhead being very frank and very short with Gran Torino, which is frowned upon because he actually is a senior here, not only in age but also their field. And so you have Present Mic who attempts to again tell Eraserhead to calm down, whereas his hands are trembling. But from there we would have the incarcerated Kurigiri. And I thought that this was the most ridiculous thing ever. This bit of dialogue was just so unnecessary, so out of pocket. And honestly, if I were Eraserhead or Present Mic, I would probably have to slap this man, because he decides to say that the base of Kurigiri, quote, belonged to the man with whom you shared joys and sorrows at UA High School with. Like, why would you say that? Why are you dramatizing this? Like, it's already, the gravity of the situation is already so tense. Why are you trying to toy with my emotions even further? What is wrong with you? Even then saying the one who, as far as we know, lost his life at a young age. Like, we get it, we understand, why are you doing this to me? But yeah, from there we would have Shirakumo in the anime, and it just looks so good. Shirakumo looks amazing in the anime here, and he honestly looks like a main character. He seemed to be the main character of Class 1A and later 2A at the time. But at that, what is a main character without plot armor? If you don't have it, well, you end up like Kurigiri. And this was just so cruel that it did not make sense to them. Why would anyone do this? And that's where we have a shot of All For One, the man, the myth, the legend himself. And I just love this diabolical thumb of a man. When asked why they attack Yue so frequently, he would respond that the answer is simple. Outstanding quirks come together at Yue. And so for him at least, it's like shopping at Costco as opposed to your regular supermarket. And let me just say that to all the aspiring writers out there, All For One is such a brilliant villain to emulate, at least in regards to writing. This man's dialogue is always so incredible and so impactful, not simply because he is evil, but because he is just chillingly indifferent. I mean, he just says all these horrific things with a smile as if it's just the most enjoyable thing in the world. Not only that, but he makes you question the logical simplicity of it all. Like, why are you making it such a complicated thing? Why are you overthinking this? It's simple as this is where all the good quirks are. Why would I not attack Yue? But anyways, when they did meet face to face at Kurigiri, the prospect of bringing Shirakumo's family in if these two could not make a breakthrough was enough for them to push past their emotions for the most part and get the job done. And I think that was the heroic response to be had, which only made it that much cooler. Now, when the subject of tending to Shigaraki being Kurigiri's purpose came about, I lost it. It's just one of those scenes where even in knowing of the contents, it still manages to be very impactful. And if you have familiarized yourself with the complete story of these three, either by way of the Vigilante spin-off manga or our video compiling it all, you would know that Aizawa was pretty much a gloomy kid that Shirakumo looked out for. And so to see the wave of emotions wash over Aizawa's face like this was just so painful. Losing Shirakumo in the first place had such a major impact on both of these characters, and especially Aizawa as a hero and teacher, so to not only have that be the case, but also to know that even beyond death, he had not been able to rest in peace was just gut-wrenching. Now additionally, over 100 episodes later, and we have the full story of Aizawa's mass expulsion made known to us. And with that, we get our first look at Class 2A. Nobody looks too interesting here, but hey, they do exist. But goodness gracious, I cannot stop bringing it up. The performances to be found in this episode were simply spectacular. I mean, come on, the declaration of shared heroism from Eraserhead, who was overwhelmed by emotions as tears streamed down his face. A plea to an old friend, an inspiration at that, all of which seemingly culminating into futility and a lack of progress or a breakthrough. Only for there to be a sudden spike in the dramatics as the face of Shirakumo would emerge from the darkness to deliver a major clue. Now admittedly, I do feel like the mention of the hospital could have been a bit more weighty, but regardless, it is just fine as is. The visuals of Shirakumo's face in the midst of Kurigiri were downright chilling in the manga, but these are two different mediums, and so I do not mind their approach with it at all. It's something I was curious about for a while, so it's nice to see how it is in the anime. We would later have the relay of this information to the appropriate channels, and again, seeing some of those also memorable shots animated is so great. Now, the very last part of this episode was something I was really questioning, as I wasn't actually sure if it would even make it into the anime because of how oddly everything else has been placed and such. But yeah, here we have Shigaraki being operated on. What is no doubt a crazy scene, but this part of the adaptation concerns me a bit. In the manga, this scene was way more graphic, but here we have it substituted by sparks of electricity, and fine, sure, whatever. I don't mind this being the case. They seem to have hidden certain visuals of this scene away for the sake of avoiding spoilers, same as how they have with certain characters despite putting them in the intro visuals. My fear for this lies in what comes next, because from here, My Hero Academia can get pretty damn crazy and pretty gnarly. So if this is any indication, I have a feeling that they are going to be toning down a lot of stuff to come. And listen, they have toned things down in the past just a bit because Horikoshi got pretty wild when it came to overhaul and such, but this is a whole lot more noticeable. But whatever the case may be, at least in regards to being an enjoyable viewing experience, I hope they keep that same energy for the final 5 episodes of the season, because My Villain Academia is here, baby. Finally, we are here. And you already know that Plot Armor is here and has you covered, so please go ahead and subscribe to the channel with notifications on. In our case, there is no question that we will be here to provide you the same level of energy and more, so please help us out on our journey to that fantastic 300,000 subscriber milestone. Because when it comes to bringing you some of the best My Hero Academia content on the platform, Plot Armor has you covered. As always, I'm Slice of Otaku. Thank you all so much for watching and have an awesome day. I love you.